Welcome to Free Range Flock. We were once the latchkey kids who came home to an empty house after school. We were feral, resilient, cynical, and innovative. Older than Google. Our teenage faces were never posted on social media. The internet was just an idea in our youth. Now we are older, wiser, and thriving. Our independent ways will continue to serve us. We plan to keep defying the odds, and we will carve our own path. With grace, with humor, with joy. Our way. We've been through some stuff. We will continue to keep pushing, and we are not going anywhere. The former latchkey kids are now the free range flock.
So, Sass, what time do you go to bed? And now here's the second part. Do you tend to fall asleep before you go to bed? Like you sneak in one of those little sneaky naps. That's what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
So that's part of the reason it's hard for me to give an accurate answer because 9 times out of 10, I fall asleep before I go to bed. So I'll be sitting reading or watching TV or whatever, and all of a sudden it's like, crap, it's 2 hours later.
Yeah.
If in an ideal world, I like to go to bed between usually 10 and 11, but a lot of times there's a nap involved and it will be later than that. So with the nap included, sometimes it's 12:30 or 1 before I actually get into the bed.
Okay. So lately I've been similar in that sometimes I'll fall asleep before, but I try to get to bed. Like I put my son to bed around 9, and my goal is to try to go like make that my okay. Now go to the bedroom and like read and do your thing. And most nights I'm doing pretty good. Like I'll let me read a little bit, not look at the phone. But if it's a weekend and we're kind of like giving ourselves a little bit more time, I do put in those little sneaky naps. And then go to bed. So, and yeah, that's a struggle. So,
oh my gosh! And the thing that's so funny is I used to see my folks do this, and they'd be like sitting watching TV, and all of a sudden they're asleep. And now I'm that person.
There's something about like denied sleep. I'm like, there's something like it's like I'm kind of getting away with something like it's a little sneaky, snacky, nappy thing.
Yeah, that's funny.
My goodness. But like many free rangers, sleep has changed since we have entered midlife. It's harder to stay asleep, and it's harder to fall asleep if you wake up in the middle of the night. So when I was younger, I had this like luxurious deep sleep, like nothing could wake me. Like my mom would have to come over and shake me to wake me up to go to school. Now, if I hear anything, I wake up. I was like, boom, I wake up. My son like turns, loudly in the bed. I'm like, wake up. The dog like yawns, y'all wake up. So yeah, just anything wakes me up. A friend of mine said, why don't you listen to music when you go to sleep? And I'm like, you know what happens is that eventually the track ends and it restarts, and that restarting sound wakes me up. I'm like, are you kidding me? So yeah, it's just making it harder to stay asleep.
Yes.
And if you wake up, it's like, oh, it's going to be hours before I fall back to sleep. So
yeah.
I think a lot of us are, whenever I talk to another free ranger, they're like, yeah, just staying asleep is like, I can sometimes fall asleep really easily, but staying asleep, that's the chore. So it's really hard.
So I really kind of have some of the same issues. I don't have any trouble typically falling asleep, but boy, if I wake up in the middle of the night, I'll lay there for 2 or 3 hours, It's tough, and you're right. I think a lot of people our age struggle with that, and that there's documentation for that. If you look online, there's lots of reports showing that as you hit midlife, your sleep cycles tend to change, especially if you're going through a hormonal shift, like some of us are. So,
or you're stressed and you're taking it to bed, you can't stop thinking.
Exactly.
So since we're all facing this, it's worth to talk about. So we're curious, how are you sleeping? All right, so Sass, it's time for us to be a little vulnerable and talk about our sleep routine. So,
Oh, no.
So a sleep routine, what I mean by that is what you do before you go to bed, 30 minutes to an hour before you go to bed. So it's not just like, okay, I go to bed. It's all those things you do leading up, like, cycling down, getting ready for bed. Mm-hmm. So what does your sleep routine look like?
I'm not very good at that.
Uh-oh.
I'm really not. Because all of the things say, don't look at your phone, don't look at your iPad, don't watch TV. Those are all the things that if you're having trouble falling asleep, it's not good to look at devices before you go to bed because of the blue light that's being emitted from those devices, and it messes with your circadian rhythm. Mm-hmm. So it's like your body's thinking, oh, it's daytime because the blue light is from the sun. Mm-hmm. So you really should do that. But I am the worst.
Yeah.
I don't do social as much as I used to, but now I read, and I read on a device.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of, I probably should rethink that and actually read books instead of
But definitely reading, I think, is going to be better than like a TV, like something you're trying to get more engaged with. Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely. My routine is having a kid helps because kids need that routine and structure.
Right.
And so like I'm putting him to bed at 9:00, and I also make him read before going to bed because he has to read a certain number of minutes every day. And so now I have been trying to, when he's reading, I'm reading. I'm like, okay, he's reading, I'm going to read too. And then I put him to bed and I read just a little bit more and then go to bed. So that when I'm behaving, I'm not watching TV. He's reading, I'm reading, and then, but like I like to run around the house and like put things back together because my son is messy and like, tidy up a little bit. I'm trying to like teach myself to like, okay, chill out. You're about to go to bed. Don't go as fast. I take a warm shower. So that I'm getting to bed and I feel good and, rested, and I read that's if I'm behaving, which is not every day, but I'm trying. Yeah. It's hard.
But I do know those routines are important. Like they say that doing the same things every night, regardless of your routine,
right,
is important because it kind of signals your brain that, oh, this is what we do before we go to sleep. So, whether that's drinking a cup of hot tea, whether that's taking a shower, whether that's reading for 15 or 20 minutes before you go to sleep, those are all things that are going to signal your brain,
right.
Hey, it's time to start shutting down. Yeah.
So, are you taking any supplements to sleep? Confess.
So I can't do, like, one of the most common ones is melatonin. Melatonin is not my friend.
No, not mine either.
Every time I take melatonin, I wake up feeling crappy, and it messes up my sleep cycle, and I cannot stand that. Literally every single time I take it, I wake up feeling worse than I started. So, but I do take a hemp supplement by a company that is reputable and trusted. I get it through my massage therapist, and it has really been helpful. Like I said earlier, I don't have trouble falling asleep. It's that staying in that sleep. And what this supplement seems to do is when I do wake up in the middle of the night, I'm able to relax enough and fall asleep easier. So I typically don't have those like endless hours of staring at the ceiling at 2:00 in the morning.
Right. I take an over-the-counter kind of sleep aid, just something really minor, a minimal amount, and that does help me. But I was taking the CBD, like you were doing, supplement, and it was dreamy. Just that, and I would take it like I wasn't trying to enjoy a high or anything like that. It was basically I was taking it to go to bed and sleep. But then I was preparing myself for changing jobs. Like, okay, if they drug test me, I need to be ready, and I was like, wait a minute. And so even those hemp and CBD supplements that many people are taking, which are legal, when you take a drug test, it looks like you're doing cannabis. And I'm like, oh, I remember I called Sass, like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And so I did this thing where I bought some drug tests and took it, and it literally took 40 days for that small little dose to get out of my system.
Yes. And it is, if it's a concern for you, you should not take CBD. I mean, it will trigger a positive, even though you're not taking it to get high. A lot of people take CBD supplements for joint pain, for anxiety, for sleep. So there's lots of, good reasons to take it and not for the high.
Right.
But yeah, there's THC in there.
Yeah.
It's a very small amount, but it builds up in your system.
Yeah, it builds up in your system, definitely. So then, I had to rethink taking that. And my new employer never drug tested me, which I was like, oh, that worked for nothing. But yeah, it did really surprise me how that did show up. So if you're out there taking that, just be mindful of that. But some of us have to take something to stay asleep. It's hard. But you got to be careful because using supplements has been linked to increased dementia. So you have to be careful about what you're taking and talk to your doctor about it. So
Definitely.
Yeah.
And take the lowest dose that you can get away with. Like I take a little soft gel. It's like 25 micrograms. It's really small amount. And it's just enough, to keep me calm when I'm sleeping. But don't, you be careful. Just be careful.
Yeah. You want to sleep and wake up, Definitely. So what's your number? Like, whenever I go to the doctor, they're like, how much are you sleeping?
That number.
So what's your number? What you're aiming for?
I feel best if I'm between 6 and 7 hours. If I sleep more than that, and when I was younger, I was a sleeper. I would sleep 9-10 hours easily. As I've gotten older, if I sleep 9 hours, I feel like crap. I feel really like I got run over in the middle of the night. So between 6 and 7 hours is my goal. And I hit that most nights.
Right. So the number I'm aiming for is 7. I usually get around 6, on a good night. But I'm aiming for 7 because that's what my doctor recommended. She's like, you need something around 7. And I do function better when I have 7. Like I'm in a better mood and I'm not always hungry all the time. So it definitely affects like my mental and physical being. But sometimes it's just hard. Like I'm like, okay, I went to bed at the right time, but I kept waking up and, and I can't go back to sleep. So I'm one of those people that gets up early. There's annoying people that get up early and wake up and work out. But I have learned now that I have to prioritize sleep over working out. And there's been some nights that I'm like, okay, if I only get 4 or 5 hours, and my Fitbit will tell me I have to go back to sleep. I cannot get on the treadmill because I will be so tired I could hurt myself.
Right.
So I have to prioritize sleep over working out. And I'm saying this because I am learning this and I'm reminding myself of this, and it is hard. And I get it. It's hard to go to bed. It's hard to get up in the morning sometimes, but we have to prioritize it. That's the only way it gets better.
I agree. And I think that sleep impacts us in so many ways. Like you were talking about working out if you've not had enough sleep, and you're more likely to injure yourself. There's lots of studies that show your mental health declines if you're not getting enough sleep. Your physical health declines, you're more likely to get sick. Whether you're happy. I mean, it just, your ability to experience joy and happiness in your life are all affected by the quality of your sleep.
And that's it. That is the quality. It's not just the hours, it's the quality of your sleep. So if you're sleeping 7 hours, but you were down for like 12 and you had to like sleep in patches, like some of us have done, that's not high quality sleep.
Exactly.
Because your body has to go through, I'm not a doctor, by the way, your body has to go through all those stages of sleep. It goes in and out. So I get it. It's a struggle for all of us to get it, but we have to prioritize it. We have to just do it. But talk about what that number is with your doctor. What should you be aiming for? So let's have a reality moment.
Okay.
Your alarm goes off. What do you do? What's the first thing you do?
So luckily, most of the time, I like to say 75% of the time, I don't actually wake up to the alarm. I actually wake up before an alarm.
Oh my gosh.
Which is nice. A part of that is because the people I live with, I live in a really old house, and the people I live with are early bird people. They get up earlier than I do. And I hear them. So it's like a gentle wake up because I can hear, people walking around in the kitchen, and, someone else is we call it the gym in our house is upstairs, and, someone's in the gym. So it's like I hear those noises and it's a nice way of waking up.
Right.
That other 25%.
Oh.
When I do wake up to an alarm, it's not good. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel jarred. My heart starts pounding really hard, and it's scary to me to have, because those alarms are meant to wake you up, so they're loud and obnoxious.
They're alarming.
They are. I mean, I know how much you love alarms.
No, I do not. Do not.
So, but I 9 times out of 10 end up hitting the snooze button, though, because it's that jerking awake, and then I just want to go back to sleep.
I saw this funny picture online where someone had shown so if you have an iPhone, I'm not sure, Android may do the same thing. I don't know. I can't say for sure. But on iPhone, you set it and as a visual, and they had literally set it like every 5 minutes. And I'm like, oh, that's me. So I just set my alarm, but that factor in snooze time. Isn't that awful? So for some reason, the iPhone snoozes for 9 minutes. I don't know why they came up with that. And so I'm like, okay, I can wake up here, I can snooze twice and still get up and get on the treadmill. So I literally plan that. Like, I'm going to snooze a couple of times.
Yeah.
Something like that whole denied sleep, that whole, like, I shouldn't be sleeping, I'm getting away with something.
I'm doing it anyway.
So delicious. Like, I want to sleep a little bit more. Yeah, that's what I do. I literally plan for my snooze time. I have to snooze at least twice.
So am I misremembering this, or is it real that your cat used to turn off of your snooze, or did I dream that?
I had a cat at one time who's no longer here, who really did not like my alarm and would just go over and realize. And that's the time when I would keep my phone facing up. I don't know why. Now I keep it facing down. He would go over and like hit it. Like, he was just so mad. Like, why is this making noise? And hit my snooze. So yeah, that's my Rufus boy. Yeah, he's no longer here. But yeah, he would go and turn my snooze off.
I remembered that.
And then they're like, why am I keeping my phone like face up? I might need to keep it down. So yeah. Yeah.
But it was so sweet.
He was just like, this is annoying, and turn it off. Yeah.
He was doing you a favor.
But he also was like, get up and feed me.
Well, there is that.
Yeah. Having a pet is also another form, like a furry alarm that wakes you up too.
Yeah.
So
my dogs do the same.
So I know that, you and I have been talking about sleep a lot recently. So have there been some changes that you put into place that's helping, or maybe you're thinking about a change?
I'm trying to be more mindful, like, of what I'm doing before I go to bed. I think that I like to have an adult beverage.
Uh-oh.
That's in my scope of enjoyment in my life. But I do find that if I have a little more than I should, that I do not sleep well.
Oh yeah.
So making sure that when I drink in very moderate amounts, just enough to, be a little relaxing, but not
Yeah.
when you get into that tipsy realm,
Yeah.
what happens is it actually makes you sleep worse.
Yeah.
And so that's not good. But again, trying not to look at social media, trying not to get wound up before I go to sleep, because I think during the pandemic, that was a bad time, because you were constantly looking at the news sites. You're constantly looking at social. There was all of that political unrest, and you get all of that in your head right before you go to sleep, and then you can't sleep.
Right.
So I really do avoid social media platforms now before I go to bed. The most I will look at is Tumblr, which is all just pretty pictures and fandom things. It's very little politics, at least in the people I follow.
I definitely have been. I'm the type that if I read something that's stressful, or I have a phone conversation with someone who causes me stress or anxiety, I take it to bed. So I try not. I will not answer the phone over a certain time. I stay away from news. I try to read happy things. Because I take it with me in my sleep. So I've had to try to be really mindful about that. Sometimes I can't. Or sometimes, like, my son will do something he's not supposed to, and we'll go to bed angry. And I'm like, why'd I go to bed? Put him to bed angry. So trying really hard to, like, as we're going to bed, like, it's calming and pleasant, and I usually have to start announcing in the household, like, okay, we're winding down, because my son likes to get, like, he calls it his third win. I'm like, that's really your 10th win today. Like, he's like, suddenly, like, we'll come home from the gym, he's like, and literally bouncing off the walls.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, we are winding down, and everything's a conversation. I'm like, we are winding down. We are winding down from the day. And I have to announce it because I need it much more than him. It's because he'll lay in the bed. He's like, the beauty of youth. He'll lay in the bed for like 2 minutes and be sound asleep. And I'm like, it's a process. It's a process for me. So, I gotta be mindful because I love sleep. Sleep is good. It makes me happy. It makes me healthy. But I have to be deliberate about looking after my sleep routine. And I know many of you out there are the same. Like, you just got to okay, now we're ramping down, people. Let's ramping down. And I'm the type that, because I get up so early, and I say these words to my son every night. I'm like, dude, I'm falling off a cliff. I'm falling off a cliff. I'm falling off the cliff. Because after 8 o'clock, I'm not making full sentences, like mentally or with my mouth.
Right.
Where my son's going 90 miles an hour. And I'm like, dude, I'm about to fall down a cliff. And so I'll be putting him to bed. The kids do. They'll be like, and wow, one more thing. And I'm like, dude, I'm falling off a cliff. I'm falling off a cliff. And he knows, don't push it because I am now so tired. I have enough energy to walk from his room to my room to put myself to bed. So don't do it.
Right. Definitely.
But yeah, it's not just your routine. You got to put the whole household on that routine too.
And I think that's an important point is that people you live with, whether it's your blood family, whether it's chosen family, whatever, it's sometimes you don't mesh. Like I'm always been more of a night person than a day person. I don't like early mornings. I'm definitely not that person that gets up at 5 a.m. I can't do it. I can, but I'm not a nice person. And, but I live with people who are early morning people. So it's kind of like we've had to figure that out over the years because my friend Pam, who I live with, she's like, I know not to talk to you before coffee.
Right.
We will not have a conversation, a real conversation, until I've had a cup of coffee in me because I'm a bear. But at the same time, she's like you. At 9 o'clock, she's ready to go to bed, and I'm like, okay, I could totally have a conversation at 9 o'clock.
We travel together, and so I'm always telling my son, I'm like, listen, Sara talks first. If she's not talking, don't talk to her. Sara talks first. And when she says something like good morning, then you can go for it. But Sara talks first.
Yes.
Yes, we have learned that about you because we're both morning people. I'm much more so than he is. But give him a minute and he's full on.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we've traveled to the beach and I'm like, okay, Jules, I think she's about to wake up. Let's go for a walk. Let her get her some coffee, and then we're going to come back. Because he just sees you and just wants to start talking. And
of course.
Sara starts to talk first. Then you can talk.
Gotta have my coffee first.
And then don't go fast. Don't be jumpy. I know you're happy. You can share it with me because I'm wide awake. Let's go out. There's several mornings we would go for a walk and you would wake up while we were gone. I'm like, don't talk to Santa first. So we've learned.
Yeah, I know. I think that when you spend any time with people, you do tend to learn those kinds of rhythms and stuff. And
it's hard.
And I know with you when we travel, at by 9 o'clock or 9:30, you're
I'm not having a conversation.
Yeah, you're ready to go to bed.
I'm not having a deep conversation about anything.
So
I'm grunting
But that's okay. We'll put on a movie and you sometimes fall asleep.
I'll take a little spot nap.
It's
a little snacky nap.
It's all good.
So sleep is a very serious matter. It has a direct impact on your mental and your physical health. If your sleep is not what it should be, or you're relying on supplements to help you get through the night, that makes me think of the song, Whatever Gets You Through the Night. Now's the time to talk to your doctor because we all deserve great sleep.
Oh, definitely. And we have both talked about supplements, things that are over the counter, but your doctor can help you with some more serious stuff. If you are really having trouble, there are some prescription medications that can help. There are sleep studies that can be done to see why you're not sleeping, because there could actually be a medical cause for that.
So you got to talk about it as a serious stuff, but hey, you deserve some great sleep.
Definitely, we all do.
So, Sass, are you tired yet?
Oh. That is so funny that you say that. we didn't talk about this in the body of the episode, but that's one of the things about getting older is I feel it. If I don't have a good night's sleep. So to answer your question, yes, I'm a little bit tired.
Oh, you're tired. Oh, yeah.
It's
so,
okay.
Yeah. And that, I mean, even with a great sleep routine, all the practices, all the things, being deliberate about it, sometimes you just don't have a great sleep. It's just, not in the cards. Those are the days when I pull out the coffee. Like I don't drink real coffee. I drink mushroom coffee, by the way, but on those days when I don't sleep, I pull out the real coffee. And that's when my son sees me pull out the coffee pot, he's like, oh, stay away.
Something happened.
Yeah. And then I'm bouncing off the wall. So that's never a good thing. But it is a serious thing. I mean, we joke about it, but it's a very serious thing because not having great sleep can cause some really big issues later on. And so if you are that person who is having trouble, nightly, not sleeping, hopefully you're listening to this and going, I need to talk to my doctor about it. If anyone's going to help you, I mean, yeah, we can give you advice, but your doctor's going to help you find something for you. Because sleep is great. Oh my gosh, great sleep. Like fresh, get clean sheets, and you got on clean jammies, and you're taking a shower, and you're like, you're reading a good book, and then you fade to sleep. That's the stuff right there.
I would agree. And I always I feel bad because I've had several people in my life who, both family members and friends, who literally struggle with insomnia. It's so hard.
Yeah.
Because they want to sleep, but their bodies just won't let them.
Yeah.
And even with medications, it can be a struggle.
Right.
So yeah, I feel very blessed because I do wake up in the middle of the night sometimes, and I am not getting the same kind of sleep I used to get. But for the most part, I'm able to sleep through the night.
Yeah. But I remember when I was younger and hearing my parents talk about it, my grandparents talk about it, and they would have to take those naps during the day to get through the day. It is something that, now's the time to be mindful of it and working on it and be deliberate about it because it's going to be a challenge going forward. So you got to get that great sleep. You got to get it.
And naps are okay.
Yeah, naps are okay. Now, if you're napping 3 or 4 hours a day, that's a problem. I like a good power nap. And I'll tell myself a little bit. When I worked for a company, I will not say their name, I was never getting enough sleep. And so I figured I would take naps during the lunch hour. And I had this long desk, so I brought a blanket, and I literally hid under my desk with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And I would eat my sandwich, and then I would take a 20-minute nap, and I would set a little timer. And I, had my headphones so no one could hear it. And I was George Costanza from Seinfeld. I took a nap under my desk, and I did it every day. And I had I perfected, so I had a certain mat, and I don't know if my coworkers knew. They never let on, but that power nap was what I need. I needed those 20 minutes of deep sleep to get through the day. But yeah, you got to prioritize good sleep. You got to do it, and it's not going to suddenly figure itself out. You got to put the effort into it.
Yeah, definitely. So if you haven't found us on social media yet, we would love to have you engage with us.
Definitely engage with us.
We are on Facebook, we are on TikTok, we are on Instagram, and we're on YouTube.
Yeah, we're on YouTube.
So make sure you're hitting all of those buttons. You're subscribing, you're following, you're doing all the things.
Yeah, let us know you're out there.
Yeah, for sure. Because sometimes, we feel like we're screaming into the void. So we'd love to hear what you think. And today's episode is sleep. So how are you sleeping?
Yeah.
Are you sleeping well? If you're not sleeping well, what are you trying to do to help get you there? And we'd love to have a conversation about that. So thanks for listening, y'all. Thank you for joining us for Free Range Flock. Our goal is to inspire and celebrate who we are, the Generation X kids who grew up and decided to do things their way, with grace, humor, and joy. This has been a production of Sassy Am. If you want to learn more about our podcast, follow our blog, share your positive insights about being a free ranger, or to suggest topics or guests for future episodes, please visit our website at sassayam.com. That's SASSAYAM.com. Keep pushing.